Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
After sitting down in their private dining room, a girl in a Japanese kimono served them tea. They ordered 2 servings of Hawaiian cuisine and 2 king crabs. Point two. As Gene D was sipping his tea, his phone rang. Point two. He picked up immediately. Okay, I got it. I'll push back the dinner with the boss of the Chung Tian group. A new cooperation. I should have already mentioned the plan given to me last time. It's not worth much. There's no leeway. If I can't come up with a plan that I can take a good look at, then this cooperation will be pushed back, too. A lot of jargon that she couldn't understand came out of his mouth. She sat quietly across from him drinking tea and holding her sleeve to her bruised arm, for fear that he might see something. Point two. Kaiseki is divided into 7 steps, during which there will always be a Japanese waiter to introduce them to the dishes and so on. However, the one who came in was a middle-aged woman in a dark purple kimono. She was not surprised when she saw Gene D. She even shouted with a smile. Point two. Mr. Gene, too. Gene D had just hung up the phone. He replied more courteously than AI had ever seen him do before. Point two. Yes, too. Welcome back. May I ask who this lovely young lady is, too? The woman looked as though she may be the owner of the restaurant. She was very respectful when she asked about AI's identity. Point two. AI almost choked on the tea in her mouth. Point two. In contrast to her nervousness, Gene D only leisurely picked up his teacup and smiled. She's my girlfriend, too. Although she knew that this was only a contractual relationship, she could not help but blush. Oh, so it's your girlfriend. No wonder. I've never seen you bring a female friend here before. This is the first time, isn't it? This young lady must be very special to be able to attract your attention, Mr. Gene. 2. The woman must not read the news much. She didn't seem to recognize Zwa AI at all. Point two. Zwa AI sipped her tea silently, and Gene D smiled. Special? She's indeed very special. Maybe I will only have one girlfriend in my life. 2. Gene D's voice was calm, but Zwa AI felt shocked to her core by his words and didn't dare to move. It was as if there was a rabbit in her left chest that jumped so fast that she could not breathe. She tried her best not to betray any emotion on her face. Point two. Well, you certainly are direct. From the looks of it, good things are on the horizon for you two. The smiled benevolently as she spoke these words. Point two. Maybe. No one can say for sure what will happen in the future. 2. His answer, which was neither positive nor negative, made the woman even more curious. Point two. So AI felt more confused than ever. What was this man thinking in his heart of hearts? 2. At first, he seemed like he didn't want to get involved with her, but now he was saying so many ambiguous things. If all he wanted was her body, then why, last night, hadn't he touched her at all? 2. She hadn't realized he saw a future with her beyond their agreement. Point two. But had experienced the pain of falling from the clouds. She knew that as long as she didn't get her hopes up, she couldn't be disappointed. It wouldn't do her any good to read into what he was saying. Point two. At this thought, her heart calmed down, and her face returned to normal. Point two. Mr. Gene, it's best not to joke too much about such things. One of these days you might hurt someone, too. So I was sitting there in a dignified and noble manner, just like the famous and popular top socialite in Benhai City she'd once been. Point two. Her manners and smile were very appropriate. It was almost as if she was wearing an exquisitely carved mask, too. Gene D narrowed his eyes as he looked at her, but the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. What? Such an indifferent tone. Could it be that you're upset with me, too? She frowned as if this were an intimate quarrel between a couple. Point two. Mr. Gene, it's better if you don't tease me anymore. I'll be embarrassed if any outsiders find out about this, too. She smiled, and the meaning in her eyes was obvious. She did not want to expose their relationship. When he realized this, his mood inexplicably became worse. The restaurant owner saw that the atmosphere had soured, and she gave the chef behind her a look. Point two. Well, we'd better go prepare the dishes then, she said. Point two. Mr. Gene didn't say anything, and the owner brought some of the waitstaff in to clear the table immediately. Point two. Once the two of them were left alone in the private room, The smile on Jean D's face gradually faded. Point 2. Do you really dislike the identity of Jean D's woman? He asked. Point 2. Oh no. The title of Jean D's woman is the supreme glory that all the women in the country fight each other for. How could I possibly dislike it? So I smiled as she said this, displaying her skill at telling a lie with her eyes wide open to the fullest. Point 2. Why doesn't that seem like the truth, too? Mr. Jean is mistaken. I'm just afraid that I'll be too willful and cause trouble for Mr. Jean. When that time comes, I'm afraid that a powerless little woman like me will die without a burial place, too. She said it so pitifully. He knew that she was lying to him. But when he saw her pleasing face acting so realistically, his mood could not help but improve. Your acting is so good. Why don't I invest in a TV series for you to star in? 2. Dana was right. As long as he was happy, he would indeed spend generously. However, 2. Mr. Jean, you must be joking. I don't have that ability. If Mr. Jean is really happy, why don't you return my little flower shop to me? I'm a very easy person to satisfy. I don't know how to use things that I shouldn't have even if I wanted them. Wouldn't that be a waste, too? Accompanying a king was like accompanying a tiger. At least for the duration of the agreement, she only wanted to protect herself and take back what was hers. Point 2. There was no need to risk angering this tiger for something that was not worth it. Jean D kept looking at her, and the smile on her lips gradually stiffened into a mask, too. Perhaps she should have obediently said nothing just now. A man like him always gave whatever he wanted, but if he gave it to her and she rejected it, it would be equivalent to disrespecting him. Point 2. She was indeed a little anxious to take back the flower shop, but maybe she'd said so too soon, too. If he was really angry, too, she could not help but hold her breath as she broke out in a cold sweat. However, at this moment, Jean D suddenly laughed out loud and immediately diluted the atmosphere that was so tense that it was suffocating. Ha ha ha! I like a woman who knows how to adapt to the situation. However, if a woman knows how to adapt to the situation too much, it will make people think that she is cunning. Miss Swa, since you don't want what I offer you, then forget it. However, I want to give you what you do want for the time being, too. She was a little disappointed, but she also heaved a sigh of relief. What he meant was, she was off the hook, too. She was still smiling, but didn't respond. Point 2. After a while, he looked up at her earnestly. You're not angry, too. She smiled back at him. It's very foolish to be angry with a financial backer. Even I know this much. After all, Mr. Jean is so kind to bring me here to eat such extravagant food. I'm more than happy. How can I be angry in a place like this? He propped his chin on his hand and raised his teacup to her. Point 2. Pour me some tea, too. She smiled and did as he said. Even though she knew that he did it to provoke her, she was not qualified to reject him. Point 2. However, just as she picked up the teapot and was about to pour water into the cup, Jean D suddenly reached out and grabbed her wrist. Point 2. Her heart skipped a beat, and her smile did not fade. Mr. Jean, aren't you going to drink your tea? What should I do? I want to eat you more than anything else right now. He smiled speciously. Her heart skipped a beat. Just when she realized she did not know what to do, suddenly, too, there was a knock at the door of the private room. Jean D immediately let go of her wrist. Point 2. The proprietress set the sashimi on the table, looked at the red face, then smiled and backed out. Point 2. After the meal, Jean D acted like a perfect gentleman, but her heart still never calmed down. Point 2. When they said their goodbyes, Jean D didn't mention when their next meeting would be. Point 2. Watching his expensive, eye-catching car drive away down the street, she couldn't help but feel relieved. Point 2. 2. Since Zuiyun met Chenzi, her hatred for Ziai had been increasing more and more. Point 2. The sternness of Chenzi's warning showed her just how important Zuiyun still was in his heart. As long as Zuiyun knew this, she would be so jealous that she could not breathe. Point 2. The green leaf? Seeing Zuiyun come out of the door of the restaurant, Zuiyun felt even more jealous than before. Point 2. The place was known for its extravagance. She had never been there before. Although she was now technically Z's fiancé, the fact was that he was only nice to her around Point 2. She couldn't even see him at other times. The eye-catching black car left Zui Yunyan's line of sight. She tried her best to see the figure who had just gotten into the car, but she couldn't figure out who it was. Point two. She couldn't recognize them, so she thought they probably weren't such an extraordinary person. Point two. But the car and the green leaf together suggested that, extraordinary or not, they were very rich. Point two. So, you're in this situation now? One corner of her mouth curved up coldly. She would take back the recording pen and broadcast its contents to the world, and Ai would think twice before she acted so arrogantly ever again. Point two. Two. When they got back to school, Ai was immediately called by her art professor over the intercom for a meeting in their office. Point two. Yun watched Ai as she left the classroom and then, without missing a beat, sat down at her desk and reached in her bag to grab the familiar recording pen. Point two. The voice recorder was undamaged, and she was so happy. She turned around and was about to leave when a cold voice came from beside her. Point two. What are you doing? Two. The person who called out to her was Chun Jiao. She was a student like Zui AI in herself. She didn't like Zui AI either, but she wasn't jealous like Zui Yunyan. Point two. However, she seemed to remember Chun Jiao too. Thinking of this, she suddenly felt happy, but her face showed nervousness and fear. She wanted to say something, but hesitated. Jiao, I know you don't like me and my sister, but we are classmates after all. There are some things I think you should know, too. What, too? This morning, I took the bus to school with other students, and saw Mo shouting and my sister. Zui Yunyan wanted to say something else, but she hesitated. Chun Jiao's face suddenly turned livid. Point two. Chun Jiao's family's news agency was the earliest in Binhai City, and it had the greatest influence. There had long been gossip newspapers that reported that she had used her family's connections to go out with Mo shouting several times. Point two. There were even people who wrote that she was Mo shouting's rumored girlfriend. It was only after Mo shouting himself clarified on TV that she wasn't that the rumors were disproven. Point two. The two of them? Stop joking. How could young Master Mo like that broken shoe, too? Who knows, but a lot of people saw them talking and laughing as they entered the school together. Jiao, I'm telling you this because I treat you as a classmate, my sister. Recently, because of the annulment of the marriage, I don't know what she's doing, but I heard that she seems to be kept by someone. Some man, you know. I don't know what's gotten into her. If you really like young Master Mo, you'd better persuade him not to pursue her. He's an artist, and it's not good if he gets involved in a scandal, too. Zui Yunyan looked sincere. Chun Jiao frowned and felt a little awkward. However, she had already decided that Zui Yunyan was doing this to help her out, so her voice softened a lot. Point two. I know. Anyway, thank you for telling me this. Oh, right. You should come to the class reunion next month. I just received a call saying that there are too few people coming. It's boring, too. My sister is in the same class as us. Why don't I ask her to come along? After all, she hasn't been in a good mood recently. I want to take this opportunity to ask everyone to persuade to stop what she's doing. 2. No matter what, Zui Yunyan was always cautious. Point 2. Chun Jiao hadn't liked her before, but today she changed her mind. Point 2. It hadn't been right for her to write her off so easily. So, I was such a trashy person, but she had such a good sister. It was a pity. Point 2. This was good. Everyone would be at the class reunion, and Mo shouting would be there too. Wasn't this a good opportunity to humiliate? Okay, then call her 2. You want me to give this to Tang Sheng? 2. Our university's art exhibition is solely sponsored by the Tang Corporation. So, you are the main person in charge of this art exhibition, so of course you have to be the one to give it to him. 2. Professor. Actually, she began. Point 2. Since we've already been over this, I won't beat around the bush with you. It was young Master Tang Sheng who personally appointed you to go. If you don't go, I'm afraid that this art exhibition too. Standing outside the door of the Tang Enterprise, she couldn't help but sigh. Point 2. Tang Sheng was also her classmate, a typical second-generation rich kid. He confessed his love to her in high school and was severely humiliated by her. Point 2. In the end, it was my own weakness. But it was me who loved you too much, too. He was cold and hot to me, And he even talked about forever, too. I don't understand. I owe you too much, too. Came the familiar ringtone from her bag, point two. She glanced at the number on the screen, and her heart jumped. Gene D. How did he, too? Hello, too. Still in class. The voice on the other end of the phone was light, point two. I'm out right now, because of something, too. Where is it? Said the familiar cold voice with displeasure, point two. She was just about to speak when, suddenly, a black BMW pulled up behind her, point two. She heard Tang Sheng's rough voice behind her. Humph, who does he think he is? I personally sent the business proposal to him, but he doesn't even want to see me? Who does he think he is? I don't believe that our Datong Industrial Company can't find any other company to cooperate with besides him. Let's not talk about it now. I have something to do here. I'll call you back later, too. As soon as she heard Tang Sheng's voice, she immediately hung up on Gene D and walked over to him with the proposal in her hands, point two. Tang Sheng was the same age as her, but he went overseas to study halfway through high school. When he came back, he took over his family's company. He used to be a young boy, but after a few years, he actually had a beer belly and the top of his head was a little bald. His lascivious eyes fell on her, sized her up, and suddenly it lit up, point two. Whoa, look, isn't this the famous Miss Swa? It's really been a long time. How come you're out of class? Two. The professor asked me to pass this art exhibition proposal of Binhai University to you. Two. We've been classmates for so many years. It's so boring to talk about these things when we meet. Come on, Miss Swa. No matter what, you were my goddess in the past. It's not easy for me to see you again. Don't tell me you won't even give me the time to have a cup of tea. Two. She frowned and wanted to refuse, but Tang Sheng interrupted her with a smile. The funding for this art exhibition hasn't been transferred to your account yet. If Ms. Swa isn't willing to reward me with this now, I'm afraid I'll have to consider this sponsorship matter again. 2. The uglier her expression was, the happier Tang Sheng seemed to be. He reached out and put his arm around her shoulder, point two. If it were the usual Zwa, she would have long slapped him, but today she didn't say a word. She was surprisingly obedient, point two. Tang Sheng was even more satisfied. You're a lady of the family. That's why you're loved. It looks like Miss Swa has finally understood the essence of being a woman after so many years, too. Under everyone's ambiguous gazes, she and Tang Sheng boarded the elevator. Even though she had already prepared herself, and it might not be easy for her to come here today, when Tang Sheng's hand moved from her shoulder to her, but she couldn't help but say something, too. President Tang, I'm here today to give you a proposal. I'm just here to drink tea. I hope you can have some self-respect, too. Hearing this, Tang Sheng smiled coldly with a sarcastic look on his face. You're already a whore. Why are you making such a fuss? Do you think I don't know why young Master Chen broke off the engagement with you? Isn't it because you're fooling around with another man? Now that you're no longer young Master Chen's fiancé, what are you going to do for me, too? Tang Sheng, I know that my attitude when I rejected you before was too cruel. If you want to make trouble for me because of that, I can apologize to you. But I hope that we can separate business from personal matters. Business is business, and personal matters are private. Binhai University's art exhibition is the work of the entire art department. This is not a personal matter for me. I hope you can understand this, too. Haha, separate business from personal matters? I really didn't ever expect to hear that from the Zwa family's eldest daughter. Do you think that if you weren't the person in charge of this art exhibition, I would even bother with it? What a joke. Since you've already brought up, I might as well tell you that I do hold a grudge against what happened in the past. If you want me to nod my head, show me how sincere you are about your apology. Otherwise, at most, we can just call it quits. You can go back and explain why to your professor yourself. 2. A tiger that had fallen into the abyss was being bullied by a dog. It was the most suitable description for her current situation. She gritted her teeth and endured the humiliation. I'm sorry, Tang Sheng. I hope you can forgive me for what happened back then. 2. Your voice is too soft. I can't hear it clearly, too. Her tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry, Tang Sheng. I hope you can forgive me for what happened back then. 2. All right, the elevator has arrived. I'm sorry. Let's talk about what happened after that in my office. Or do you want us to stand here and let everyone watch you like this, too? Tang Sheng smiled wretchedly. She held the proposal in her hands and hesitated. Having come this far, could she really just give up and go back, too? She didn't want that point, too. Don't worry, it's just a cup of tea. I won't do anything to you, Miss Swa. After all, it's been so many years. I hope we can get along well, too. Tang Sheng smiled and whispered in her ear. She gritted her teeth and took a step, too. Meanwhile, in the king's group office, too. Mr. King, what can I do for you, too? What was the name of the man who just came to deliver the proposal, too? It's Tang Sheng, the boss of our partner company, Tang Industry, too. Help me find the address of their company, too. What are you? Too. It's just a private matter. It has nothing to do with the partnership. Let me know immediately after you find out, too. After hanging up the phone, Daniel looked at Jean D behind the desk with a strange expression on his face. Point two. Mr. Jean, we just rejected the partnership with Tang Industry today. If we go to their company at this time, it might cause a misunderstanding among the public. It will not be good for our company's image and influence, too. I know. Jean D flipped through his iPad with his brows furrowed. He fiddled with his phone from time to time. Point two. Daniel was wondering why his boss, who was usually smarter than anyone else, had made such a muddled decision today. Point two. Then he saw that his boss had dialed the number at the top of the call record on his phone. Point two. I'm sorry, the number you dialed is turned off, too. Daniel felt even more puzzled. Who was he calling to? Daniel, show me the interpersonal relationship data of II that you investigated for me previously. Two. Miss Swa, come and have a taste. This is the new tea that was picked this year. It's the best West Lake Longjing tea. After not seeing you for so long, I really miss you. I wonder, how was Miss Swa's life now, too? So AI kept trying to find an opportunity to give him the business proposal, but Tang Sheng hadn't mentioned anything about work since he entered the office. Point two. She frowned and took a sip of the tea, her voice indifferent. It's pretty good. There's no need for young Master Tang to worry about me. Two. I heard that your mother is in the hospital, and the Zwa family is in a slump. You must be in need of money, right, too? Two. This card has a limit of 1 million yuan. It's my secondary card. After all, we are old classmates, so it's only right for me to help you, right? Here, take it, too. She watched as Tang Sheng's chubby hand reached out and pretended to stuff the card down her shirt. Point two. The anger that she had been holding back from the beginning finally exploded. Point two. She first raised the proposal in her hand and smashed it at Tang Sheng's pig-like face. Then, she grabbed his hand and twisted it hard. The next moment, a pig-like roar could be heard coming from his office, too. She could not get rid of the hatred in her heart. She raised her high-heeled feet and stomped on his again and again. Tang Sheng was so angry that his face turned purple. He pointed at her and cursed. Zwa, you ungrateful woman. Do you know what will happen to you if you offend me now? An art exhibition? And you want me to pay for it? Ha, in your dreams. Her face was flushed red. She felt no regret. Point two. Scum like Tang Sheng needed to be taught a lesson. Point two. But two. Looking at the proposal in her hand, she was afraid that the art exhibition was hopeless. Point two. Holding back her tears, she walked out of Tang Sheng's office. And just as she reached the door, with a bang, she crashed into a wall of flesh, too. She was about to step back when she was grabbed by the hand of the man in front of her. Point two. She thought it was the security guard of Tang Sheng's company and was about to shout, but then she heard his low, familiar laughter. Two. You want to run away after getting into trouble? You sure have guts, huh? But I like your personality. Two. She had been holding back her tears the whole way, but now that she saw the man in front of her, she couldn't control herself anymore. Point two. She wiped her tears away with the back of her hand, trying to hide them. Point two. But Jean D just reached out and pulled her into his arms, patting and caressing her like a child. Point two. So, are you the one who bullied my woman? Go, give him 2 more slaps, and I'll bear the consequences for you. Two. His voice carried a smile, as if he was a willful and arrogant tyrant in ancient times, allowing his beloved concubine to run amok in the world. Point two. She was so frightened by his words that she forgot to cry. It was not until Jean D pulled her back into the office that she came back to her senses. Point two. Tang Sheng had already sat up. His face was bruised. Even when he saw Jean D, he still had an arrogant look on his face. Point two. Ah, who are you, a gigolo? You dare to stand up for her? Do you know who I am, too? As soon as he finished his sentence, I sneered and raised her hand to slap him without any mercy. Point two. Jean D watched it all with a smile on his face. Point two. When he saw that she had slapped him almost 10 times, he walked up to her, held her little hand, and rubbed it in his own. Point two. I don't want to hit him anymore. My hand hurts, too. His palm was very big, and there was such a warmth being transmitted to her through his skin, too. She knew that she was just a toy to him, bought on a whim, but any woman who was treated like this by a man held in the palm of his hand would probably feel something, too. She was no exception. The blood in her body was boiling in response to his touch. She took 2 deep breaths, trying to calm down, but the feelings seemed to be burning more and more intensely. She pulled at the button of her shirt, too. Jean D's eyes darkened, and he held her hand. What's wrong, too? It's hot. This room is so hot, too. Her cheeks were flushed, and her voice was trembling seductively. She looked at him deeply with loving eyes, too. Her soft and boneless little hands coiled around his waist. His body trembled, but she leaned closer. Oh, my legs. Why, they seem to be a little unsteady, too. The look on her face became more and more hazy, and the sly smile on Tang Sheng's face made Jean D feel very uncomfortable. He glanced around the room, and his gaze finally fell on the teacup on the coffee table. Point two. His eyes turned cold as he realized what Tang Sheng had done. Point two. Tang Sheng laughed without fear of death. Ah, see? This woman is such a slut. Who do you think you are? You provoked me today, and you still want to walk out of here unscathed? I'm Tang Sheng, of Tang Enterprises too. However, before he could finish his words, he saw Daniel walking out from behind Jean D, and his face suddenly changed. Point two. He had just returned from the King's group offices, so he knew very well who Daniel was. Point two. He was the personal assistant of the famous Mr. Jean too. So, could this person be, too? He broke out in a cold sweat. It was too late for him to remedy what he'd said. Point two. Tang Sheng knew that Jean D was not someone that Tang Enterprises could afford to offend. He wanted to make it right, too. Well, actually, Mr. Jean, this matter is actually too. Jean D had lost his patience with him already, and his face was as black as ink when he saw what he'd done to the... Point two. Contact King's group's legal team. The criminal charges have been proven. Tell them not to come back and see me unless Tang Enterprises is sued to bankruptcy. 2. When the lawsuit reached bankruptcy, Tang Sheng felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He knelt on the ground and tried to pull at the leg of Jean D's pants, pleading bitterly, but he was kicked away by Daniel with a sneer. Point two. A business card fell from the sky. Daniel's voice sounded like bad news. Point two. The court summons should be sent over tomorrow morning. Before that, Mr. Tang, if you have any further questions, you can call King's Group's Foreign Affairs Department. This is the phone number. In addition, if Mr. Tang says a word about what happened today, then the Tang family's fate will be much more dire. THN bankruptcy. I hope you can understand. 2. Tang Sheng was on the verge of crying. He could not even finish his sentence. Daniel stood up with a smile. Just as he took a step forward, he seemed to have suddenly remembered something and returned. I'm sorry. This is only a $1 million credit card. It's not enough for Mr. Jin's girlfriend. You'd better save this card for yourself after you go bankrupt. 2. So AI who kept tearing at her own clothes in the corridor. Her lacy underwear was showing, making Jean D's expression darken. Point two. Some of the men who passed by looked at her, and they would be glared back at by Jean D in less than a second. Point two. He did not like his things being coveted by others. Point two. Hot, so hot, too. Damn it. Her voice now was simply inviting people to commit crimes. Many people on the road looked at them. Jean D's face was dark, and he suddenly reached out to cover her mouth. Point two. Be quiet, too. What was worse was that after he asked her to be quiet, she was indeed quiet, but her hot red lips were pressed against his palm and kissed densely. He frowned. Drive, he said to the driver in a hoarse voice. Point two. But Special Assistant Daniel is still too. Call him and tell him that it's urgent I leave. Tell him to go back to the company on his own, too. It was the first time the driver saw the boss's scary expression. He did not dare to say anything and hurriedly did as he was told. Point two. They went to the Hilton Hotel, which was owned by King's Group. Point two. He had a private suite on the top floor of this place. So what AI was already delirious on the road. He carried her into the suite and went to the bathroom to get her some water. Point two. He didn't like to take advantage of others, even though she was really tempting. When he came back, so what AI's phone kept ringing. He casually picked it up and looked at it. Chun-Zi's name on the screen made his mood even worse. Point two. They had already broken off the engagement. Why was she still in contact with her ex-fiancé? 2. He glared at the dazed AI on the bed and pressed the answer button. Where are you? A controlling voice came from the other end of the phone. Point two. Jean D curled his lips and smiled coldly. May I ask who is calling? 2. Ever since he'd parted ways with AI at the hotel, Chun-Zi had been in a bad mood. Point two. He was very curious about the man who had arranged to have dinner with AI. He used his personal connections to investigate, but the other party only found a Mr. Jean. Point two. Other than that, there was no other information. Who was this Mr. Jean? Did she really sell herself to him for money? 2. Jealousy made him uneasy. After drinking half a bottle of whiskey in the office, he dialed AI's number. But never in his wildest dreams did he expect that this call would actually be answered by a man. Point two. I'd like to ask who you are. 2. If you don't answer my question, I'll hang up. 2. Who the hell are you? Why do you have to hang up on me and to answer AI's phone? 2. Chun-Zi's hysterical voice came from the other end. Jean D's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at AI, who was lying unconscious on the bed. The corners of his mouth curled up as he raised his voice and asked, 2. So AI, someone called Chun-Zi on the phone for you. Do you want to talk to him? 2. So AI, who was lying on the bed, was in a daze and didn't answer. Jean D raised the phone back to his ear and continued the charade. Point two. Oh, so it's someone of no importance. Then forget it. I'll hang up. Hello, Mr. Chun. Did you hear that? Then goodbye. Please don't call and harass my AI anymore. 2. After saying that, he threw the phone into the nearby trash can. Point two. So AI, who was lying on the bed, did not know how bad her situation had been made by this phone call. Point two. Jean D had said that he was a person who did not like his things being coveted by others. Point two. Even if this person was AI's ex-boyfriend, he had to nip it in the bud. Point two. The call did not end, and the trash can was not far from the bed. Jean D tugged at his tie, then began to take off his shirt at the edge of the bed. Point two. So AI, who had lost her mind and did not know what she was doing, automatically leaned towards Jean D when she felt the trembling of the bed. Point two. Her hand climbed onto his waist, and she made soft, moaning noises that made his blood boil. Point two. No. Don't, too. Her voice trembled slightly, and the smile on Jean D's face became deeper and deeper. Baby, don't touch where? Be good. Speak clearly, I'll know, she said. Point two. The volume of the voice was just right to travel over to the phone in the trash can. Point two. Thinking of the expression that must be on the other man's face, Jean D was overjoyed. Point two. 2. Be good. Tell me, and I'll give it to you. 2. I want you to. Who am I to? Hearing this, Chun-Zi could no longer control himself and crushed the phone screen. Then, he smashed it onto the floor. Point two. When his secretary heard the sound and came in to ask what the problem was, she saw Chun-Zi's face was dark, and he looked like he was about to explode. He stood aside in fear and did not dare to speak. Point two. Immediately get someone to help me locate AI's cell phone signal address. If you delay even a minute, you won't have to worry about coming to work tomorrow. 2. He let it go this far to put on a show for Chun-Zi, but when AI's mesmerizing lips kissed his chest too, he sucked in a breath of cold air. Damn it, wake up, Zio AI. Enough, wake up too. His body was getting hotter and hotter. Damn it, if word of him taking advantage of her were to get out, how would he, Jean D, be able to show his face ever again? 2. No, he absolutely would not, too. His strong self-control allowed him to control his arms and not touch her soft parts. He tried his best to hug her waist without any evil thoughts. However, this moment, It was enough to make any man's blood boil. Point two. His Adam's apple moved slightly, but the AI, who was sitting on top of him, seemed to suddenly wake up. Hey, what is this, too? She suddenly raised her eyebrows and smiled. It's so fun. I can move it around, too. After saying that, she actually bent down and kissed him, too. The warm touch seemed to send a numbing electric current through him, and his entire body stiffened. In the past, when he was with Billionaire, Duan Boyi, and the others, he would often talk about women. The five of them were not bad-looking, and they all had powerful families behind them, and they all had deep pockets. Point two. Since they had become adults, they had been surrounded by women. Only Supreme Jean D could not touch women since childhood. Point two. Billionaire was the calmest, but once he started talking about women, he could not help but laugh. He said that it was a poison that made all men unable to stop. Point two. The third brother, Duan Boyi, echoed these sentiments. That was true, that was true. The taste of women was indescribable. As a man, it was hard to imagine a life without women. Point two. The second brother, Jean D, had never experienced this feeling before. At that time, he had never looked forward to it. He only smiled and mocked them. Point two. When the sperm got to his head, he would be happy without any desires. But now, he finally understood the feeling that Billionaire and Duan Boyi had described too. It really could make a man sink into it, unable to extricate himself. So AI, I'll give you one last chance. If you don't wake up, I really won't care so much anymore. I won't hold back too. So AI felt fortunate that she was conscious. However, her mind was unable to control her current actions. Point two. She could clearly see that Jean D meant every word he said to her. Point two. But she could also feel that she was unable to control herself and took the initiative to tease him again and again, doing things that would normally make her blush and her heart beat faster. Two. Oh my God. It was as if there was a huge fire burning in her body, and this fire could only be extinguished by Jean D. Point two. This man had given her a chance before, but now she could not refuse at all. Forget it, forget it. Since things had already come to this, she would rather hand herself over to Jean D than to be with someone else, too. Thinking of this, she felt as if she had unlocked the last shackle of a wild beast. Suddenly, she gave Jean D a push on his shoulder. Point two. Jean D was caught off guard. Everything seemed to be an illusion, too. Jean D's eyes flickered. His hands that had been kept carefully away from the AI's body suddenly pulled her head toward his as he kissed her fiercely. Only when she whimpered in pain did he let go. Point two. The last chance was gone, and now he ignored her struggle too. AI's eyes became clear for a moment, just as the last step between the two of them was about to be taken. However, too, at that very moment, they heard the sound of someone opening the door to the room. Point two. Jean D froze. Point two. A moment later, Daniel's voice drifted in from the living room. Mr. Jean, I brought the doctor here. Mr. Jean, which room are you in, too? Jean D's face darkened. He grabbed the duvet from the bed and wrapped AI up in a. Point two. When Daniel pushed the door open and entered, Jean D sat on the bed with his clothes disheveled. He hugged AI, who was wrapped in the duvet and didn't look up. Point two. However, just by sensing the atmosphere in the room, he knew that today would be the end for him. Two. Had he actually interrupted Mr. Jean in the act? Two. Damn it. That Mr. Jean. I'm so sorry. Daniel was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat and froze on the spot. Point two. He could neither advance nor retreat. Jean D only looked at AI wrapped in his arms and didn't raise his head. Point two. Where's the doctor? Two. Yes, the doctor. He'll be in soon, too. Considering that's what AI was a girl, he specially found a female gynecologist. She was also an authoritative expert, and her professionalism was not bad. Jean D did not pursue the fact that he came in at the wrong time. When he saw the female doctor, a satisfied look flashed across his eyes. Point two. The female doctor answered and entered. When she saw Jean D hugging the woman in his arms tightly, her face immediately stiffened. Point two. Mr. Jean, about that. I want to give this lady a checkup, too. Jean D raised his eyebrows. Just do it like this, too. The female doctor was embarrassed. The checkup required her to draw blood and also to check that area. How was she going to do it like this? 2. About that. This is really 2. Is there a problem? 2. I need to do a full body checkup on this lady, and I also need to draw blood. Please remove the duvet. 2. Jean D. looked displeased and unwillingly lifted a corner of the duvet. The female doctor looked troubled, but she did not dare to challenge this Mr. Jin's bottom line. She could only hurriedly take out the syringe and draw the blood she needed for a blood test. Point 2. After that, she said, "Well, I still need to do a checkup on this lady's gynecology department. Can you two gentlemen excuse me for a moment?" Upon hearing this, Jean D. glared at Daniel, who was standing at the door. "Excuse us, too." Daniel immediately left the room. The female doctor glanced at Jean D., who had no intention of releasing II from his arms, and gave up as well. Point 2. She reckoned that even if she kept asking him, he would give her the same answer, so she decided not to argue anymore, too. She directly examined II. After an unknown period of time, II felt the heat on her body gradually recede, and after a moment, she gradually woke up. This time, when she woke up, she felt that her private parts were cold, but otherwise she was quite comfortable. Point 2. She heaved a sigh of relief and opened her eyes to look at her surroundings. She didn't see anyone. She propped up her limp body and tried to sit up, too. But when she looked down, she sucked in a breath of cold air, too. She was actually naked, and Jean D. was actually sitting next to her. But his clothes were neat, and too, her face instantly turned red. She turned to him and was about to slap him. However, her body had not recovered yet. The slap was limp, and she missed him. Point 2. The corner of Jean D.'s mouth curled up, and he looked at her with a playful look. "What, you're awake, too?" She was both embarrassed and angry. You're so shameless, too. If you'd woken up earlier, I think you would have seen something even more shameless, too. You, too. Don't move." His voice suddenly became cold, and then something cool was rubbed on her private parts. Point 2. "Because of the incident last time, you got infected. Are you still a girl? Why don't you feel anything at all, too?" She was stunned and used a reproachful tone. Point 2. "Last time? You, too. I'm not desperate enough to lay my hands on a woman who is unconscious, too." Her face turned even redder, and she reached out to cover herself with the duvet. Jean D. only smiled. "Now you know how to cover yourself, too." "I did that because, too. Didn't you feel anything then?" Jean D. suddenly asked. Point 2. All the memories from just now suddenly flooded her mind, and her eyes flashed. She didn't dare look at him anymore, too. No matter what she said, she was the same. Point 2. Her chest was suddenly covered by someone's hot palm. She was shocked, and she heard Jean D's heavy, breathing voice in her ear. Point 2. "Don't look at me like that. I don't want you to be hurt more severely for the time being, too." She was embarrassed and quickly covered her face with the down quilt. Her chest was thumping, and she almost couldn't breathe. Point 2. His big palm was still there, but he didn't do anything to offend her. She held her breath and waited for a long time, too. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. "Mr. Jean, the decision meeting for the new season's business plan is about to begin. I've already made all the managers wait for 2 hours, too." Jean D. acknowledged this, and his hand left her chest. Point 2. Not long after, she felt the duvet covering her body. She refused to show her face. She only heard him get up and go to the bathroom. He hurriedly took a shower and then came out to change his clothes. "Leave on your own when you're ready. Remember to go home tonight, too." The words "go home" came out of his mouth and made her inexplicably tempted. Just as he opened the door and was about to walk out, too, she suddenly remembered something and shouted, "Jean D., too." The man's slender figure paused, and she looked a little embarrassed. She stuttered for a long time before saying something. Can you give me some pocket money, too?" She did not like to ask others for money, but now she could not go back to the Zwa family. Not only did she not pay the money that she owed Lei Xiao Xiao, but she also had to go to school and take care of her mother. She had nothing to pay these expenses. Point 2. Now was not the time to be unreasonably proud. Point 2. Seeing that he did not respond, she quickly added, "Too. Just think of it as you lending me some money. After that, I'll work for you and pay for it, too. Oh, what kind of work can you do? Jean D curled his lips in disdain. Point two. I can do a lot of things, she said, rather unconvincingly. Point two. Speaking of which, there's indeed something you can do, and you can do it especially well. Jean D's expression suddenly became very evil. Point two. She knew what he meant, and it made her pretty face turn red. She grabbed the pillow beside her and pretended to throw at him. Point two. He suddenly smiled and said, "Why are you so angry?" I meant it as a compliment, too. She was instantly embarrassed and angry. She didn't know whether to actually throw the pillow in her hand or not. Point two. He realized that the longer he spent with her, the more he liked her shy and angry look, but he didn't dare to lose his temper. After looking at her for a long time, he couldn't help but want to go over and coax her. Point two. This card doesn't have a limit. You can use it as you like. The password is 6/8. Sign the bill and sign my name, too. He tossed a card over like he was tossing a business card. It was black. She didn't look at it carefully and just frowned. Don't you have any cash? Just lend me a few thousand yuan first, too. He was unhappy. Why do you like to disagree with me so much, too? She quickly explained, I'm borrowing it. The more I take, the more I return. It's better to be restrained, too. She respectfully handed the card back, and Jean D became even more unhappy. Point two. Weren't they officially boyfriend and girlfriend now? Why did she feel embarrassed taking his money? 2. Thinking of this, he felt a little indignant. If you don't take it, you won't have pocket money. Not only that, I will also demolish your little flower shop and build a new building. You've received many offers from investors before, right? The location of your 2-story building is excellent. It's most suitable for building a commercial building in the city center. The profit can be increased by thousands of times. 2. Her face turned pale and froze. Point 2. He had always liked to achieve his goals through coercion, and he knew her weaknesses like the back of his hand. He was very clear about this. Point 2. But for a moment, she'd actually thought that he might be a good person. Point 2. She was really stupid. Okay, I'll keep it safe. 2. Not long after Jean D and Daniel left, she felt a little bit of strength returning to her body. She got up and saw a box of unopened chocolates on the bedside. Point 2. There was also a new bag of clothes. She did not stand on ceremony. She directly opened the box, picked one up, and put it in her mouth. Point 2. The sweet and smooth taste was to her liking. Sometimes, she really didn't understand what that domineering and occasionally gentle and thoughtful man wanted from her. Point 2. When she walked out of the Hilton Hotel, it was already dark. As soon as she stepped out of the door, she felt her arm being forcefully pulled by someone. An angry voice came from behind her. Point 2. So, you're really cheap. 2. As soon as she heard Chun Zi's voice, too, an inexplicable sense of exhaustion arose in her. Point 2. Chun Zi, do you really have nothing better to do? She sighed. Point 2. No matter how much they had loved each other in the past, that wasn't the case today. Point 2. She had also repaid what she owed him. To be honest, she really did not understand why he was always so entangled in her affairs. Point 2. Chun Zi's hands were as cold as ice. He stared at her with red eyes. Point 2. The satellite location could only locate that she was in this hotel. He had used his connections to investigate the reservation system, but he did not use AI's name to get a room. He wanted to investigate the surveillance records, but even if it was Chun Zi, this was not the Chun family's property. No matter how good his reputation was, it couldn't grant him such extensive privileges. Point 2. So, he could only wait for her to come out of the door. He had waited for her for a whole 3 hours. She had actually been in there, neck wrestling with that man, for 3 hours. The image that surfaced uncontrollably in his mind was enough to make him explode with anger. Who the hell was that man, too? He gritted his teeth and spat out a sentence. No matter who it was, he would never let him off. So AI did not even look at him. She only used her other hand to pry open his fingers and smiled coldly. Who cares about you, too? You, too. Chun Zi, since we've gone our separate ways, whatever you do is fine with me as long as we can live our own lives. To be honest, I'm living quite well now. I really don't have the time to care about your emotions. Now, I'm neither your fiancé nor your wife. Naturally, I don't have the obligation to care. Of course, neither do you, too. She walked out in her high heels, seemingly unmoved by Chunzi's appearance. Chunzi clenched his fists, looked at her back, and suddenly shouted, too. "It's what AI? Can you really forget the history between us, too?" Faced with this question, her answer was only a receding figure. Other than that, there was nothing else. 2. So I had bought some necessities and some supplements to bring with her to her mother's ward point 2. Mo Chin was sleeping. So I had put her things away and was about to settle the hospital fees point 2. "Oh, it's Miss Swa. Your mother's room will be changed tomorrow. I haven't been able to contact you for the whole day, so I didn't dare to move it, too." So AI was stunned point 2. Moreover, the fees for the new better have been paid, and a lot of it has been paid in advance. "I reckon that it will be returned to you when your mother is discharged, too." She frowned. She hadn't told Jean D about her mother's hospitalization. Who could have paid the fees, too? Shinzi, he probably wouldn't do such a thing after their last conversation point 2. Then, who was paying her bills this time, too? "Excuse me, may I ask, who's paying the bill, too?" The nurse smiled and said, "I'm sorry, but we don't know. I heard from the settlement department that the other party called to pay. Either way, it's a good thing. It'll be quieter in her new ward." 2. Walking out of the hospital, AI saw a red Lamborghini parked in the parking lot point 2. She immediately recognized the coquettish model and the coquettish man who waved at her from the car window. When she saw him, she really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could she forget that there was another man in the equation? 2. Mo shouting, "How did you know that my mother had been hospitalized?" Mo shouting raised his index finger and slid it to his lips. He smiled in a manner that could topple a nation point 2. "This is of course a secret. If you knew, how would I be able to save the damsel in distress in the future?" 2. Great. Only now that I've grown up, I know that it's always a hero who saves the damsel in distress. 2. I grew up a long time ago, okay? Mo shouting retorted unhappily point 2. She laughed even more heartily. She had always loved Mo shouting as if he were her little brother. She felt better about this than about asking Chinzi or Jindi to help he. It was easier for her to accept Mo shouting's help, because she felt that the relationship between them would not materialize because of money point 2. "In any case, thank you, but I will return this money to you, too." Mo shouting knew what AI's personality very well. If he said that she did not need to return it, she would definitely feel even more pressured and would immediately distance herself from him. Therefore, she just smiled and said, "Okay, I'll wait for you to return it to me. But before that, I'm your biggest creditor. You have to treat me better, too. Haven't you heard that the one who's borrowing money is now the boss? Won't the creditor just obediently let me flirt with him, too?" Mo shouting's words made her feel relieved, and her mood became more relaxed. "Okay, since it's like this, then I can't escape from the meal I owe you. Let's go, I'll treat you to some delicious food, too." Thinking of his identity, she also thought that she should at least go to a high-class restaurant to eat. She was searching on her phone. Mo shouting suddenly said, too, "Why don't we go to the snack bar near the high school? The owner is so familiar with us. She won't tell anyone. The place is hidden and the food is delicious, too." She smiled. "Are you still thinking about her fried tofu, too?" "Of course. Auntie's fried tofu is the best in Binhai City. I wouldn't get sick of it even if I ate nothing but that for 3 years." Mo shouting had a yearning look on his face point, too. She couldn't do anything about him. "All right, then let's go there. But let's make a deal. I want to treat you to a good meal. If you choose the restaurant this time, next time it's my turn, too. I'm your creditor, and you're going to treat me like this?" His expression was a little pitiful point, too. "I can't help it. Do you think I asked to be poor? I still owe you so much money. I have to be careful. Hey, stop there for a moment. There's a shop by the high school that sells homemade yogurt. I'm going to buy 2 cups, too." After saying that, she ran down and bought 2 cups in a hurry point, too. Mo shouting grabbed one of yogurt and took a sip. With a strange expression on his face, he asked her, "Do you still remember the yogurt here, too?" Mo shouting was AI's only real friend aside from Lei Xiao Xiao point, too. Because he was young and looked very thin and weak back then, she always subconsciously protected him and took care of him. This habit still hadn't changed, even now. Point two. How could I not remember? It's only been a few years since high school. 2. Mo shouting was even more unhappy. Chenzi, that scumbag. He will definitely regret treating you like this, too. She smiled. Don't be silly. It's all in the past. I don't want to remember anymore. I just had a sudden craving for this yogurt. It has nothing to do with him, too. It wasn't true. During her 3 years in high school, Chunzi had been unimpeded. Every morning when he went to school, he would put a cup of yogurt from this shop on her desk. Point two. That memory was too beautiful. So when she saw the sign for the shop, she could not help but miss the taste and asked Mo shouting to stop the car. Chunzi had been right. Point two. She couldn't simply forget all the memories between them, no matter how hard she might try. Point two. However, just like she couldn't forget the good ones, she could not forget the bad ones either. Point two. She knew that, even if they'd stayed together, the outcome of their relationship would still eventually be tragic. Point two. She took a straw and drank another mouthful of yogurt, but it wasn't the same. It didn't taste as good as it had when Shinzi brought it to her in high school. Point two. She smiled and put the half-drank yogurt aside. Point two. Never mind, I haven't had it for so many years, and it doesn't taste right. There's a saying that some things are the most beautiful in memory, and once you try to bring them into the present, they may not be the same. 2. The displeasure on Mo Shouting's face was suddenly swept away, and the cup of yogurt in his hand, which he hadn't drank much of, was also put aside. Point two. He smiled and looked at her. That's what I'm talking about. The old doesn't go, and the new doesn't come. What's so good about him? Chunzi, too. 2. Accompanying Mo Shouting to the snack bar for lunch, she looked down at her watch and saw that it wasn't early. Point two. Although Jean-D hadn't specified what time he wanted her home, she was concerned that she still hadn't heard any news from him. Point two. The strange thing was that when she'd left the hotel today, she hadn't been able to find her phone. Now, even if she wanted to inform Jean-D that she wouldn't be home for a while, she couldn't. Point two. What's wrong? Are you in a hurry to go back? Mo Shouting asked when he saw the expression on her face. Point two. She frowned, thinking that Mo Shouting was a very popular actor and often too busy these days to make time for her. Their spending time together was a special occasion. It would be rude for her to reject his suggestion that they keep hanging out. Point two. No, of course not. Where do you want to go next? I'll go with you, too. Mo Shouting's eyes immediately lit up. Really, too. His tone was no different from that of an excited high school boy. Point two. She couldn't help but laugh. Of course, too. Actually, I was doing an advertising project for a company recently, and I stumbled upon this place with a really great night view of the city. I really wished you were there to see it then. Do you know the place? Binhai City's newly built ocean viewing tower, the tallest man-made building in the country, too. She did indeed know of the place that Mo Shouting was talking about. Point two. The Ocean Observation Tower was a tourism project under the name of King's Group. Not only did it cost a lot of money to build, but it was also connected to a resort project on the beach. Point two. According to reliable sources, when this project was completed, Binhai City's GDP would increase by at least 50%. Point two. Because this figure was so shockingly high, and it was the famous King's Group who controlled its construction, it soon caused a great wave of public opinion across the country. Point two. It's so late. I heard that the ocean viewing tower hasn't opened yet. We should... She began. Point two. It's okay. I've already told the staff we're coming. They'll take special care of us while we go in and take a look. Let's go, there's still time, too. Mo Shouting looked very urgent, and she couldn't bear to refuse him. Moreover, even though it was a project under Jean-D's name, they still might not encounter him, too. Thinking this, she didn't refuse. Point two. As was to be expected when King's Group had exclusively funded the building, too. The interior decoration was very modern. The panoramic ocean view elevator went straight to the sightseeing floor at the top. Point two. As she got off the elevator, she was stunned by the starry night view of Binhai City. Point two. Suddenly, Mo Shouting knelt down on one knee beside her and said to her, too, "So, I be my girlfriend, too." Hearing this, her mind went completely blank. Point two. Suddenly, The low laughter of a few people came from the empty observation platform. Point two. So someone came here to confess to his little girl. CEO Gene, it seems that after your place is opened, it might lead many couples to get together, too. Yes. CEO Gene is young, so his mind is more flexible than ours. He knows how young people think. We are all old, too. Hey, isn't that the spokesperson we hired? Mo shouting, kneeling on the ground? What is such a famous actor doing chasing after girls, too? The voices drifted in their direction. So AI's heart skipped a beat, and she was just about to pull her hand back from Mo Shouting's grasp. Point two. But this time, Mo Shouting seemed to have made up his mind. He gripped her palm tightly, not caring about the others who were standing there as he continued to speak. Point two. So what I know my confession is very sudden, but I really can't bear it anymore. I like you. I've liked you since the day I met you in high school. At that time, you had Shinzi. I thought that as long as you were happy, I would be happy. But now that Shinzi has treated you the way he has, I really can't stand it. Anymore. So what Shinzi doesn't love you. I do, though. What he was never able to give you, I'll give you in the future, too. I'm now a grown man. I can give you my shoulder to cry on, and the money I earn can support you. So what be my girlfriend, too. But ever since she heard the name Jean D, her mind had been unsettled. Point two. She hadn't heard a single word Mo Shouting said. She subconsciously looked for Jean D on the observation deck. Point two. And then, sure enough, there he was, too. His slender figure stood in the dim light, surrounded by a few middle-aged men in suits. Point two. He was wearing a silver quartz watch, and that pair of Italian handmade calf leather shoes was exactly the same as the pair she'd seen him in this afternoon. 2. She could not see the expression on his face, but his silence gave her a very bad feeling. Oh, Dia, let's go. It's a heartfelt confession from a young man. Let's not get involved. Anyway, the pre-development inspection has already been completed. Why don't we just leave them to it, too? A few of the others clapped their hands in agreement. Point two. You're right. We're really ruining the scene here, too. Mo Shouting had just shot an advertisement here a few days ago. Most of the people in charge had seen him before, and their faces immediately showed gratitude. However, at this moment, too, the voice of a much younger man came from the crowd. Point two. The Ocean Observation Tower hasn't been opened to the public yet. This proves that the security facilities here haven't been fully checked. If something happens to their romance here today and they lose their lives, resulting in the failure of the entire King's Group plan, may I ask which of you would like to bear the responsibility? 2. As soon as Jean D said this, the rest of the men fell silent. Point two. Although Mo Shouting had met many high-ranking officials before, he had never met the CEO of King's Group. Point two. He had never thought that he would be such a young man. Point two. I'm sorry. This was reckless of me, too. Sensing Jean D's anger, Mo Shouting hurriedly apologized, afraid that AI would be implicated in his mistake. Point two. Young Master Mo, I know that you're a person of status. You shouldn't have done such a reckless thing. Once it becomes a scandal, it will have a negative impact on both you and King's Group. But I really can in good conscience just pretend that I didn't see what happened today and let it go. 2. Jean D said this in a tone of icy professionalism. Point two. So I looked at him silently, unsure how to explain the situation she was in. To be honest, she had never had any romantic feelings for Mo Shouting. Point two. She had always treated him like a younger brother, but here he was suddenly confessing his love to her. Even she was caught off guard. Point two. Besides, with Jean D's status and power, if he wanted to crush the career of an artist, it would be no more difficult than crushing an ant. Point two. She was already planning to reject Mo Shouting. If she allowed any room for misunderstanding, too, then she would really be in deep trouble. I'm sorry. Actually, this was all just a joke. Don't misunderstand. We'll leave now, she said. Point two. Under the circumstances, it would be impossible to explain anything to Jean D alone. Point two. She grabbed Mo Shouting's hand tightly and walked towards the elevator. Mo Shouting explained anxiously from behind her, Sister, I'm not joking. What I said is true. I really want to be with you, too. Feeling Jean D's hot gaze following closely behind, she really wanted nothing more than to knock Mo shouting out with a punch point too. Walking out of the ocean observation tower, she stood in front of Mo shouting's Lamborghini and did not get into the car. Seeing the strange expression on her face, Mo shouting looked despairing point too. So, hey, I know. I was in too much a hurry, I just too. Mo shouting, really, I'm very surprised that there's been such a misunderstanding between us. Things between Shinzi and me are indeed over, but I'm not in the mood to start a new relationship for the time being, let alone with you. Too. What do you mean, let alone with me? Mo shouting looked hurt point too. She couldn't bear it, but she also knew that if she didn't explain everything now, he would only be hurt more in the future, too. I'm sorry, for so many years, I've always treated you as my own brother. I also thought that you've always treated me as your elder sister. I thought that things could go on this way forever, too. I don't want to be your younger brother. He interrupted her hysterically point too. She paused and shook off his hand that was holding hers. Forget it. You drank too much beer earlier. It's getting late. You go back on your own. I'll get a taxi. Too. No. The hand that she had just shaken off was now gripping her forearm tightly point too. The young man who used to hide behind her and rely on her protection now had such great strength in his palm. She struggled, but could not break free. The wound that Shinzi had left on her wrist was still there, and Mo shouting now pressed it on the same spot. It was so painful that she almost cried point too. Mo shouting, let go of me too. No. Hey, I'll let you know today that you've never been my sister in my heart. Not for a moment, too. She had never seen this cold expression of Mo shoutings, as if he was a starving beast, too. He pressed her against the Lamborghini's car door, too. She froze, but Mo shouting pulled her chin up to him roughly, as if he had gone mad, and kissed her fiercely point too. Mo shouting was very strong. She gritted her teeth, and he sucked on her lips with all his strength. Her mouth burned in pain point too. Tears welled up in her eyes. She wanted to tell Mo shouting that if he continued, she would hate him for the rest of her life, too. But he did not even give her the chance to speak. Her blood went cold, too. Suddenly, a muffled sound came from Mo shouting's body. Mo shouting, who was close to her, let out a cry of pain against her mouth. The strength that was restraining her also became lighter point too. The next moment, she saw Mo shouting being pulled away from her by the collar by a pair of fair, slender hands point too. Another punch. This time it landed right on his face point too. Young man, let me show you how life is, too. The man's voice was as deep and rich as a fine red wine point too. She looked in the direction it was coming from, but only saw a slender figure standing in the darkness. His face was obscured by shadows point too. Jean D was still wearing the black suit he was wearing on the observation platform, but now he was wearing a black leather windbreaker over it point too. His chestnut-colored hair was a little messy in the wind. His features were deep, and his dark gray eyes seemed to be on fire as he stared coldly at Mo shouting. You! Mo shouting tried to cover his face and looked at Jean D in a dazed point too. Jean D just smiled and looked down at him from above too. When a woman says that she treats you as her younger brother, she really treats you as her younger brother. Even if you feel disappointed, as a man, you should be generous and accept what she says. Only a coward would force himself on her. Young Master Mo, don't you agree, too? Mo shouting was still young and could not keep his cool. His face turned red after hearing Jean D's words point too. He said angrily, Mr. Jean, even if you were the CEO of King's Group, this matter has nothing to do with you. Why do you have to meddle in it? This is between me and Zwa. There is no need for outsiders to interfere, too. Outsiders? Jean D raised his eyebrows wickedly, and his cold gaze fell on who was leaning against the car door point too. She had always hoped that her relationship with Jean D would not be exposed. One reason was that she could not believe that a man like Jean D would really want to establish a relationship with her, and she didn't want to end up disappointed point too. Once the relationship was announced, she just knew the two of them would be separated in the future. The result would be the same as what had happened between her and Chinzi point too. and a woman with a bad reputation would always be the first to be criticized by the crowd, while the man got off scot-free. Point two. She was indeed afraid, too. On the other hand, she also felt that if she, with her current reputation, were to be connected in any way with Gene D, it would be bad news for him. Point two. Although they were together now, she knew it was only temporary, and it would be best for both of them if they continued to keep it quiet. Point two. In the future, even if they separated, it would not affect anyone. That was the best outcome. Gene D was still waiting for her answer, but she moved her gaze away from his face and looked at the ground. She frowned and said, too, "Young Master Mo is right. Mr. Gene is indeed an outsider, but Mo shouting, it's no different for you. Neither of you has anything to do with me. Neither of you are my family, so neither of you have the right to decide anything for me. I will not pretend that what happened tonight did not happen, but I will also not tell anyone." Mo shouting, "Please don't come looking for me again, too." After she hurriedly said these words, she didn't even dare to look at Gene D's expression. She hurriedly picked up her things and turned around to leave. She didn't know where she was going, but she wanted to be anywhere but here. She had only passed 2 traffic lights when she recognized Gene D's car, following behind her. Point two. She didn't know if her words had angered him, but she didn't have the courage to face him just yet. For now, she could only continue to walk aimlessly in her high heels. Point two. Unfortunately, the heavens did not grant her wishes. Her high heels were thin, and the sky was dark. She did not walk far before one of her heels got stuck in a crack on the sidewalk. She tried to pull her foot free, and the whole heel broke off. Point two. She staggered and fell, too. Gene D's car stopped beside her, not moving at all. Point two. Gene D had no intention of coming down to help her. She also knew that she was in trouble. Point two. Well, he was already waiting to give her a ride home. It would be foolish of her to continue acting like a big shot. Point two. Who asked him to be her babysitter, too? She limped on her high and low shoes, opened the car door, and got in obediently. As soon as she got in the car, Gene D's voice came from beside her. Point two. "I thought you were going to walk back to the Sun House. Or do you want to go somewhere else, too?" His ridicule made her blush. I just, too. This is the first time you've shown me that you're so embarrassed by me, too." Gene D was smiling, but his voice sent a chill down her spine. Point two. He was angry. "I didn't mean that. I just thought that this way would be better for both of us, too. So you're so powerful that you make decisions for the both of us? My own mother doesn't even tell me what to do, but you think that you can, too." Gene D, don't be so unreasonable, okay? She was furious. Point two. The smile on his face suddenly disappeared, and he leaned toward her body. His extremely aggressive and overbearing manner made her tremble uncontrollably. Point two. "So what, AI, I have indeed underestimated you. I didn't expect that in addition to Chinzi, there would be so many other men who are in such a hurry to fall head over heels for you. It seems that your reputation is true after all. It's easy for men to daydream, right? So I too." The moment he said her name, the blood all over her body turned cold, and her expression changed. Point two. Her voice was as cold as ice. "You can be angry at me, or you can mock me, but you can't insult me, too." The way she snapped at him reminded Gene D of her resistance against Mo shouting just now. His mood improved a little, but his expression was still distant. Point two. He reached out to grab her wrist. The moment he touched it, she couldn't help but moan in pain. Point two. His eyes flashed slightly, and he got up. "Give me the car keys. You can get off work," he said to the driver. Point two. Soon, it was just the two of them left in the car. Point two. Her heart was beating a little fast, and he suddenly said, "Go sit in the passenger seat, too." She frowned unhappily. "I'll sit in the back, thanks, too." "If you're sure you want to sit in the back, I think the back seat will be spacious enough for our purposes, too. Before we leave, we're going to have a little fun. Duan Boyi did mention to me that it wasn't bad in the car, and I haven't tried it yet. Why don't we try it today, too?" His voice was evil, making it hard to tell if he was being serious or not. Point two. She was not stupid, so naturally she would not bet on that 50% chance. She got out of the car in a hurry and got into the passenger seat. She sat straight upright, not looking at him. Point two. Gene D's car was driving very steadily. They went around a street and stopped at the entrance of a pharmacy. He got out of the car and entered the pharmacy. Not long after, he walked out with a plastic bag. She started to relax a little bit. Point two.